Here's Brody Brazil.
It has been a big week of announcements for ESPN. Within the last couple days alone, they've detailed what is essentially a merger with the National Football League and its media properties. They're also taking on a brand new, huge broadcast package with WWE. And also another announcement, which comes to a little bit of a lesser extent, but a lot of people are still talking about this. Their latest addition is 22-year-old social media influencer Feeney, who's going to be joining the network as a sports and lifestyle content creator. You've probably seen Katie on all the platforms, including this one, including Snapchat and TikTok. Katie has what they're saying is more than 14 million followers, and I would imagine the view counts are easily in the billions. And I just want to say, what I'm about to discuss here in this video is hardly at all about Katie specifically. It's more about the scenario, the situation, the evolution of media and production and broadcasting networks like ESPN, and how the view and perspectives are certainly different now than they ever were before. But I want to say a couple things right away. I understand Katie's age, her gender, her appearance might spark a lot of comments by people that are inappropriate, incendiary, or immature. And I just want to say right now, I will stand for none of that here on this channel. I would ask you right now that if you're motivated to say something along those lines in the comments, please don't. In fact, you can even stop watching this video right now. So I want to cut that off before it's even a thought or before things get started here. We're talking about a job at ESPN. I know there's a reaction of a network hiring somebody without a traditional broadcasting background or somebody who's that young. We're not talking about life and death here. This is just a job at ESPN. I also want to point out that none of us actually know Katie specifically or ESPN's intentions for this role. It's not like Katie's going to be hosting SportsCenter or NFL Countdown tomorrow. That's not the case here. There's a brand new carved out role, and we'll get into that later on in the video. But we just need to kind of calm down, take a second, understand exactly what this is before people are so maybe shocked by this. I'm doing this video to offer some insights that you may and also may not have expected by presenting some reservations about the entire situation. And again, this is the direction of media and broadcasting. This has nothing to do with Katie. This is a decision by a network. So I want to offer some takes and some insights. Again, things you may have expected with some reservations, but also the realities of where this business, where this industry is actually going. First, a little bit of a biography on Katie. I know we haven't talked about that. Again, we're not going to go too much into detail, but she's 22. She's been on social media since 2015. Which makes me realize in doing the math that she was 12 when she started social media. That's pretty early in my opinion, in my perspective as a parent, but she's no stranger to social media. She's been doing this for quite some time. She's been all the platforms, literally since their inception. She graduated just recently from Penn State with a degree in broadcast journalism. So you can say, here's somebody doing it the traditional and proper way. They went to college for this. Now getting a job at ESPN, that's kind of being fast-tracked. But again, the followers, the attention, the audience, the platform she brings is part of the equation here. She's also already worked for the NFL's Washington Commanders, as well as working in and for the White House, I believe in the year 2022 or since 2022. But she's had some pretty big-time spotlight opportunities and experiences. So it's not like we're going from nothing to ESPN here. Let me start with reservations and the things I know people are going to say. Now, wait a second. This is ESPN, which has made some questionable decisions in recent months and recent years. And how about, I think it was 2 summers ago, they laid off veteran broadcasters like Susie Kolber and Max Kellerman. And so if they're letting them go and hiring an influencer with like zero experience in sports broadcasting or presenting, what's the message from ESPN? And I've always said, in terms of being a good broadcaster, a good sports broadcaster, you have to be either one of two things, preferably both. You've got to be, number one, really good and a veteran at television presentation and production and stirring the conversation and navigating a show. That's what a host would do. A lot of hosts never played the sport. You know what I'm saying? You try and be good at something. Maybe you're really good at the television part to navigate the sports part, or maybe you're really good at the sports part. You played the game. You played the sport. You understand what it's like, and you can translate all of that to the viewer. You are satisfying their interest with your experience. So you've got to have either one of those two things, or preferably both, and that makes you good at television. Some would argue that a 22-year-old just doesn't have the life experience, and now that 22-year-old is replacing veterans who do have that talent, that skill, and that experience. So that's one right there that I do understand that a lot of people are instantly going to look at this and saying, ESPN, what are you doing? But I'll get to the realities of this in just a second too. I also want to point out that somebody with follower and view counts and subscriber counts and those crazy metrics and numbers and 5 billion views and 1,000 followers, 100,000, a million followers, those numbers and metrics, they don't always equal qualifications. And I will say this in the very same way that a lot of people will boast and tout, or at least they used to do this, the 7-time Emmy award-winning so-and-so. Well, that just means that you were recognized sometimes in a team capacity, or you were good for one thing one time, and that's not a statement on the bigger picture. Look, I've got 13 Emmys sitting in the other room, and I'm not here to brag about that or mention that. It doesn't mean I'm actually good at anything. Having 100,000 subscribers, which I hope this channel has soon, doesn't mean I'm actually good at anything. It means a lot of people are paying attention. For some, and when you get up to the 14 million followers, 15, it means you've figured out the algorithm. The algorithm has been kind to you. And by some of that, you're talented to get the algorithm to find you, but you've also found the algorithm, if that makes sense. So my point here is that don't just look at somebody and say, oh, a lot of followers, they must be good at what they do. It doesn't always work out like that. And I'm not putting Katie in that conversation. I'm also not taking her out of it. I'm just saying that follower counts and view counts, they don't actually always equate to qualifications or talent. I'm also here to say that on ESPN, they do a lot of their broadcasting live. And if she's going to appear on television, that's going to be a lot different than Snapchat or TikTok, where you can record something, and if you don't like it, you do it again. You edit out the bad frames and parts. Look, I would have edited out all my stumbles in this video so far, but I try and do it live. I try and do it in one take, one smooth take. Sometimes I can't even do that. But there is a huge difference here between recording something and making 15-second videos and doing a little bit longer form broadcasting like ESPN does, even on their social channels, right? And maybe that's where she will be mainly focused. But if we're going to appear on television, that is a totally different beast and animal. Not saying she's not capable of that. I'm just saying those are two different things. Trust me, I know. I'm also here to say that jealousy is going to appear from multiple different directions. And this is where I'll have Katie's back on this. There's going to be people that want to get into television and say, how come you got that job? There's going to be people who are in television and media and say, wait, I've been working at this local station for 7 years now. I would love the chance to even interview at ESPN. And you got hired because you got a lot of TikTok followers? Like, that's going to happen. And she's going to have her guard up for those people. I'm not saying I'm joining those people at all. I'm not saying I agree with those people. I'm saying those people are out there and they're going to express their sentiments and their criticism about all of this. I'm not not one of those people. Great, congratulations. Like, you got an opportunity, you got a cool opportunity, and you've worked hard for some of it, and some of it might have just happened because of timing and the nature of this. So I just want to point out that jealousy is something she'll have to guard against. Her work is also likely to divert from the typical X's and O's of what an athlete might be talking about. So she's going to kind of change the direction of coverage for ESPN. And that alone is going to have some people, again, saying, what are you doing? I don't know that I wanted to see player X's car. I wanted to hear more about how player X is going to do this Sunday in that Sunday night football game. So her work is definitely going to divert from norms. And I think even that is going to catch people a little bit off guard and cause more question and controversy. I'm not saying that's warranted. I'm just saying that probably is going to exist. Those are the reservations. Here are the absolute realities. ESPN is not just a TV job anymore. You're not just on television. You're not just on SportsCenter. You're not just on the studio shows. You're not just on the broadcasts. They understand and recognize that other platforms like Instagram, like YouTube, like Twitter, like TikTok, like Snapchat, these are all critical platforms. This is where people are. And you're trying to reach a brand new, younger audience. You're trying to expand your network. So for those people out there who are, again, critical of how did you get this opportunity? Well, why aren't you on TikTok? Why aren't you becoming YouTube famous or whatever the term is? She's kind of ahead of other people in a lot of ways in those regards. And ESPN realizes that. They can't just be narrow focused to just their their platform programming. And again, they're not going to have Katie hosting NFL Countdown. I keep mentioning that show. They're not going to have her doing a live show with a lot of things she's never done before. They're probably going to use her to her skills and talents. Why wouldn't you? That's why you brought somebody like this in. I think the question here is posed, and I think I already know the answer. Can Katie bring that segmented younger audience over to ESPN? I say segmented younger audience because younger people are in a lot of different places, on their screens, on the small screen, scrolling through a bunch of different platforms. Katie is good at all of those platforms. She's trying to get them from those places back to ESPN and to grow the ESPN properties of social accounts, right? So she has that. That's what they want, and that's why this connection is happening. She also should have tremendous access and resources of ESPN. If you want to do a TikTok video with, you name it, Shohei Ohtani, like via ESPN. Well, I don't know. Major League Baseball and ESPN aren't as friendly anymore, but you understand the point here. You name the player, LeBron James, right? ESPN and NBA, very much tied together. Maybe she'll have the opportunity to do brand new things that she never would have been able to do before because of working at ESPN. I also think that she can emerge carefully, right? They're not going to splash somebody out on the screen and put her in 100 different places and oversaturate her immediately. They can emerge her carefully and hopefully do this the right way. I just wanted to point this out. I know there's going to be a lot of people who have these, oh my gosh, feelings, and how could ESPN be doing this, and what direction are they going? And yeah, I would agree that sometimes they don't make the best decisions. Sometimes they do things that shock you. Sometimes they do things via a budget that they can't maintain. Sometimes they're forced to cut your favorite presenter or whatever. I'm just saying, in this sense, I see what they're doing. I understand the direction they're trying. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. But I don't think in any sense this is a bad experiment or idea. It's certainly different. It hits different. It feels different. 5-10 years ago, you never would have expected something like this to be announced. But here we are in 2025. This is where things are at, and this is where things are, to some degree, are going to go. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. Don't forget to subscribe. Why are the thumbs up? Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button. I would definitely love to see you back here next time.